Today I'm going to be taking a look at The Big Bang Theory, Season 2, Episode 15, The Maternal Capacitance. This episode is given the title because in this episode we get our first appearance from Leonard's mother coming to visit him, causing him a great deal of trouble. The episode begins with Sheldon, Raj, and Howard all playing Rock Band, with Howard on the drums, Sheldon on the guitar, and Raj doing vocals. That's until Penny walks in, rendering him speechless as usual. Leonard enters the room on the phone, and he's clearly stressed out, and they begin trying to guess what's causing him this trouble. Sheldon suggests that due to the way he's holding the phone, he must be talking to someone he's not close with, and he's describing something he's done before but doesn't want to do again. He decides to make a guess that perhaps he's talking to a doctor about getting a prostate exam. And when he gets off the phone, Leonard reveals to the group that his mother's coming to visit, and Howard says, "Look at that, Sheldon, you were right."
How about that? You were right.
So this episode is about Leonard's mother coming for her first visit, and the first one she comes across is Penny. They bump into each other in the lobby and discuss the elevator and then head upstairs. By the time they reach the top of the stairs, due to her trying to psychoanalyze Penny, Penny is in tears, talking about sad memories from her childhood. She drops Dr. Beverly Hofstadter off at the door, and Leonard takes her in. He tries to make her tea, messes it up the first time, but seems to get it right the second time. She notably has a complicated tea order, similar to how Sheldon orders his takeout food. Leonard's mother seems a bit cold, distant, and impersonal. Similar to Sheldon in a way, Sheldon's very fascinated with her right off the bat and wants to know more about her work that she's done. When Leonard tries to make small talk, she shows the impersonal nature by referencing something such as Leonard's uncle having died and doesn't seem to have any emotional response to it. Then gets up to announce that she has to leave the room to use the bathroom. Now, an interesting note here is that Leonard and Sheldon seem to have opposite experiences growing up. Sheldon had a mother who was warm and loving, but he wanted someone who was more academic and would have kept him on the line he wanted to go. Whereas Leonard's mother is similar to Sheldon. She's very academic, she's very academic-minded, she's very impersonal and not emotional, and Leonard craved that attention as a kid, whereas Sheldon repelled it a bit. In the next scene, we get Leonard, Raj, Sheldon, and Howard all having lunch in the cafeteria, plus Leonard's mom is there for a visit, and they are making some fun jokes at Leonard's expense to torture him, such as bringing up the fact that he has siblings who are more successful than Leonard is, and his mom confirms this. She says that his brother is a tenured law professor at Harvard University, and that his sister has successfully grown a pancreas in a teenage gibbon. Interesting to note is that when Howard says you must be proud, she says that she's not because they're not her accomplishments. So Leonard doesn't need to feel all that bad because even though his siblings may be more successful in their respected fields, his mother doesn't seem to have any personal attachment to that either. However, using his mother's profession, Leonard does manage to get some revenge back on Howard and Raj.
Howard lives with his mother and Raj can't speak to women unless he's drunk. Go!
His mother analyzes them, pointing out Raj's selective mutism and Howard's living with his mother still, and points out that they may have created a pseudo-marriage with each other in order to compensate for their need for intimacy.
The two of you have created an ersatz homosexual marriage to satisfy your need for intimacy.
Leonard wants this to continue, but his mother leads him away to see his lab because they had scheduled the time to see the lab at 1 o'clock, and it is now 1 o'clock, which Sheldon confirms. However, she says she's not too thrilled to see his work because it's not original work. He's confirming work that another team completed. And Raj, feeling embarrassed about what just happened, try to say that they're not, but then they get into a little bit of a squabble, similar to something you'd see a couple get into, but that's just more embarrassment for them. The only thing Sheldon seems to notice is that they went to the comic book store without him. In need for a break, in the next scene, Leonard goes to see Penny and asks if she has any alcohol available. She asks if his mother's still here, and he says she is, so she says she does, and they go inside and begin drinking together, and they talk about what's happened. Penny talking about the fact that Leonard's mother got into her head a little bit, but Leonard confirms that she set up permanent shop in his. And Leonard gives a sad fact here, the fact that when he needed human contact as a kid, he created a hugging machine. He made a mannequin, stuffed it with an electric blanket, and built remote-controlled arms that he could hug himself and pat himself on the back. That's not the saddest part. The saddest part is that he said that his father would borrow it. Meanwhile, Sheldon and Leonard's mother had gone off to the hospital to get a scan done of Sheldon's brain. When they return, she notes that it'll help with the research, and he notes that he doesn't like the way that his front left lobe looks in pictures. They go in the apartment, and Sheldon offers to make her a cup of tea. She says that she doesn't think he'll be able to do it, but if anybody can, it will probably be him. They then note how they're both comfortable around each other, which they both find odd because they're not normally comfortable around other people in general. Now, that would seem to be that they're comfortable around each other because they're both very impersonal people in nature. They're both more comfortable with facts and their own work than they are with being around people and emotions. So, they don't find any emotions from each other to find anything threatening. Back over with Leonard and Penny, their drinking has advanced to another level. They're now taking shots, and they seem to have gotten pretty drunk, and they actually have gotten to a point where they start to make out after one of the shots. Back across the hall, Sheldon is trying to talk Leonard's mother into participating in an activity with him that he thinks they would be very good at together. She notes it might not be appropriate with her son's roommate, and it's not something that she could do with her husband, and he says that he was hesitant to do it at first as well, but when he did, he experienced a great release of endorphins, and he thinks that it would be something that she would experience as well. Back with Leonard and Penny. Penny and Leonard are in bed together, so they are finally making some progress forward here with their attempts at a relationship going forward. However, Leonard cannot help but even mess this up. He is in bed with Penny, they're about to sleep together, and he can't stop talking. Penny tells him to just shush, but he makes comments about his mother's psychoanalyzation, saying she would say that they're doing this because it's a way of making up for the intimacy they didn't receive as children. A very creepy thing to say, and at the very wrong moment, and this creeps Penny out, grosses her out, and she kicks Leonard out. This is the closest they've come to being together, and Leonard managed to mess it up. When Leonard returns from across the hall, we learn that the activity that Sheldon was referencing was Rock Band, and so we find Sheldon and Mrs. Hofstadter playing Rock Band together, and Leonard awkwardly walks behind them in the background and returns to his room. The next morning, Leonard is saying goodbye to his mother. She's heading out from her visit, and they give a very awkward hug to each other. Penny comes out on her way to work and says she was coming over to talk to Leonard. He says they don't need to talk about it and emphasizes ever. Penny acknowledges this, and the important thing to note here is it doesn't seem like Penny's angry about their previous night's interaction. Penny accompanies Leonard's mom down the stairs, and again, by the time they reach the bottom, Penny is crying and telling her stories about being a child and feeling distant from her father. And Beverly asks if she would mind coming to New Jersey to talk about her relationship with her parents while getting a brain scan. Penny asks if this would help, and she says it would help her, and that's where the episode ends. And that is Season 2, Episode 15, The Maternal Capacitance. This is a very interesting episode in the series as we get our first introduction to Leonard's mother, and we see that she is a strange woman who is kind of odd and impersonal and not very warm and loving, which Leonard seeks. Is driven mainly by her work, only feels pride in her own accomplishments. And this is very similar to Sheldon, so it's no surprise when they hit it off and form a friendship of their own, it would seem. I do like also that this episode acknowledges the Howard and Raj's relationship is a bit odd. Leonard does this to get revenge on them for teasing him, but the simple fact is that their relationship is a little odd. For two friends, they're a little bit too close, and it just makes for some odd moments, but it also makes for some funny moments. And Leonard and Penny finally make some forward momentum in this episode. However, it's under the influence of alcohol and both being sad because of Leonard's mom's visit and her psychoanalyzation of them both. They get, as we said so far, is that they are in bed together, seemingly about to sleep together, until Leonard messes it up and speaks. Luckily, this does not seem to have done long-term damage, as at the end, they both seem to realize that they were drunk the night before, they did something silly, and they are willing to move past it and just keep going as friends. Their relationship is advancing, still at a slow pace, but they are slowly making some progress. All in all, I would say this is a fairly decent episode, and I would give it a rating of a 7 out of 10. Please let me know your thoughts on this episode in the comments section, and your thoughts on the character of Beverly Hofstadter. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and keep an eye out for the next video coming soon.